Hello, everyone. So, this has been a horrible week. Not just about what I'm going to talk about, the most horrible things is not what I'm going to talk about. But the Russian government is trying to block the internet, and is blocking the internet. So I don't even know if this video will get through, right? Um, because I've been having all week problems with even watching YouTube. So ever since the start of their war with Ukraine, which was 4 years ago in February 26th or something, right after their day of like Men's Day, or originally the Day of the Defenders of the Fatherland, and then they invade Ukraine. And ever since then, they've been trying to block certain access to the internet. The first thing they did was to block Facebook, which I don't know why, because not many Russians are like into Facebook. They don't like go on Facebook. Nobody I know goes on Facebook in Russia, right? And also, it's a thing for like older people, what I've heard. I'm on Facebook. That's how I keep in contact with my friends and family in America. So for me, yeah, that was a big like shock. They're blocking Facebook. How am I going to keep in contact with my friends and family in America? And one of my students told me, just use a VPN. I'm like, how? So he showed me how. Um, then they blocked WhatsApp. And then they blocked YouTube. So YouTube is blocked. You can't access it in Russia except with VPN. And of course, everybody just uses VPN. Russians are still watching YouTube and doing everything they're not allowed to do just with VPN. So now, they also even blocked Telegram, which was made by a Russian. It was like a Russian thing, kind of. But the guy doesn't like the government and or government policies, and moved to France. And so they blocked it also. But now, so everybody uses VPN, but now they're finding ways to block VPN. Okay. So it's getting more and more difficult to send links for Telemost, which is a messenger service that is not blocked because it's Russian, to my students. Okay, because I send it to them on either WhatsApp or Telegram. Yeah. So it seems they're finding a way to block VPN. I've noticed if I'm using it, one VPN service for a long time, then all of a sudden it'll stop working, so I just switch to another. Anyway, so there's been problems with like me contacting my students, and one of their parents even told me use Max. But several of my students are like, no, do not use Max. Okay, Max is the Russian government messenger service. Okay, because the government uses it to spy on you and to listen to your conversations and to access all your photos and your documents and everything like that. It's absolutely a tool that the government is using to spy on their people, and that's why they're blocking WhatsApp and Telegram and stuff like that. All right, they blocked YouTube because someone's just said something about the war, negative about, Russian, and they're like, it's misinformation. We have to block it because we're so freaking weak that we're afraid of someone saying on YouTube opinions that are different from our own. So we have to block it for the entire country. All right? Anyway, so they want everyone to use this Max service. It's like WhatsApp pretty much, but it's controlled by the government. And it's used for the government to spy on you. Yeah, my students told me that, and yeah, I understand that. That's probably what they're doing, but I'm like, what do we have to worry about? You know how they say, if you're not committing a crime, you don't have anything to worry about. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, sometimes we talk shit about Putin and the war, right? Sometimes in my frustration, when I'm having a lesson and the internet gets cut off, or I'm like, fuck Putin! Fuck Putin! Sometimes in the middle of that, exclamation, the internet goes back on, and then my students hear me saying that. Yeah, sometimes we talk about the war, but not very often because, like I said, if you give misinformation about the war, meaning talking facts, you can go to jail for 15 years in Russia. Okay? So, up to this point, it wasn't a big problem because of VPN. But there were some problems, like sending the link from Telemost to my students on WhatsApp or Telegram. So I decided, okay, let's try Max. Okay, we're not saying anything that the government is going to arrest us about, and even if we sometimes do, we'll just not say that anymore during our lessons, right? I'm teaching you English. I'm not teaching you subversive ways to overthrow the government or support Ukraine or anything, So, I downloaded it. I did it once before, but most of my students did not want to have any part with it. Part of it. All right, they're all Russian, by the way, and they're like, no, we do not want to go on Max, okay? Because the reasons I said. And so I downloaded it in case of emergencies, in case we cannot contact in other ways, in case I can't send you the link to WhatsApp or Telegram. We'll have this in case of emergency, right? Because I was having problems. Like it would be delayed for so long, like the messages. And by the time the message got there, it would be like 10 hours long by the time my message got, or my link for Telemost got to my students, right? So we'd miss classes and stuff. Then it was around Tuesday night. So yeah, I downloaded it on Tuesday. And then Tuesday night, all of a sudden the internet wasn't working. I have Wi-Fi. I've never had a problem with it. By the way, to get Wi-Fi, at least the company I'm with, the only one that was able to do it in my building, you have to register with the government. And I'm like, fuck that. And I did not register, but I still have Wi-Fi, no problem, because I pay. So as long as you pay, the company doesn't kind of care. But yeah. So internet stopped working. Only when I'm using Wi-Fi. I had internet, no problem, for anything else, but most of the things that I use the internet for, I need VPN for. All right. because I'm certainly not interested in what the government wants to tell me. So I couldn't understand it. When I'm not on VPN, it's working fine. And I tried all VPNs. First of all, it's really difficult for them to connect. And when they do, then all of a sudden my internet stops. Right. I like Googled it. What's the problem? They gave me all possible reasons and everything. And nothing worked. And for 3 days, I was without YouTube. And like the main way, the only way pretty much I get information about news is from Fox News. Okay, that's the only news agency I trust. All right, and so without YouTube, I couldn't get Fox News. The Fox News app, by the way, doesn't work there. It used to. Anyway, so I'm like, okay, that's the end of watching YouTube or posting YouTube videos, and I kind of resigned to it because my students all told me, yeah, the government is really clamping down, and yeah, they're planning to ban all of the internet, not just services they don't like, foreign messenger services or foreign source services, but all of the internet. And I saw articles in well-known, respected German newspaper saying, yes, uh, one of the world's superpowers is planning to ban the internet. I think they're like their end goal is to create something like China has, from what I've heard, what I know. Like China has the internet, but you can only access like government controlled sites and what the government wants you to know or what the government doesn't think is dangerous. And you can't like access anything outside of China. And I think that's the main goal of the Russian government, right? To do the same thing like China and like North Korea. So that was really horrible. So for 3 days, I lived without YouTube, and okay, I'll admit it, I'm pretty addicted to YouTube. Like it's always on in the background and stuff. I'm watching videos even while I'm doing something else, correcting papers, or even something reading or something. Oh, the main thing about YouTube is I have access to all my music, like the most like uh, I love opera, like the most obscure operas I can access on YouTube, and they're there, right? And music is a really important part of my life. Yeah, I have to make a separate video about music, and and so that was the worst thing. Yeah. Okay, there's all the sources to download music, but SoundCloud is blocked also. But yeah, I found out there's other ways to do it. So anyway, so finally I was Googling something because I did have regular internet, like about Max Messenger service, and they like told me so many horror stories. Like, okay, Max services, they can get into all of your files, all of your photos, all of your messages. Like it says, do you allow this service to access your contacts, all your contacts, and messages and all that? That's usual. That's for WhatsApp too and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, because sometimes you want to send someone a photo or something from, uh, so I didn't think that was a problem. but in Russia, it is a problem. They can monitor your conversations live. FSB, which is the modern version of KGB. I assume it's not as bad as KGB, like going out and killing people and like their political opponents and sending them to concentration camps, but who knows now? So the FSB can monitor your conversations if you're on Max, right? Live conversations. Okay. VK, according to VK, which is very popular in Russia, is also, they started Max, so it's the same thing. Like one of my students told me the other day, a student was just talking about like computer games on VK, right? And talking about different weapons and stuff, and within the computer game world and what you can do and like his kills and all that kind of stuff within the computer game world. And police or FSB came knocking on his door like soon after. Okay, I'm like, well, yeah, if he was playing a school shooting, good for them. It's like, no, he was talking about a computer game and all the details, the different weaponry and everything you can get in this computer game. Okay. So of course it can be abused, and it is being abused. So how, if hopefully I send you this video, how am I sending it? So I looked up on Google and they told me about all the horrible things that Max service does. There was like 2 pages long of all the ways that they spy on you. I'm not going to get into them all. And then it occurred to me, I stopped being able to access YouTube and Facebook, even with VPN, when I downloaded Max. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, the exact day I downloaded Max, that's when my VPN stopped working. So I uninstalled Max and immediately got back on Facebook. And within an hour, I got back on YouTube, which made me really happy. So yeah. So just installing. Now, I didn't even use their Mac service. I just installed it on my phone. And just by installing it, they already know, okay, like, okay, this guy is using VPN, so we're going to block this guy's internet every time he tries to use VPN, because they're notorious for blocking internet anytime. Like, they'll just decide, oh, it's a security risk, we're going to block internet for, we're not going to tell you how long. Could be days, could be weeks. We're just going to block it because it's a security risk, because terrorists use drones to use like internet to drive their drones to their targets. So that's their excuse, that the internet is being used by terrorists. Or Ukrainian freedom fighters. However you want to say. So yeah, the second I uninstalled Max, everything got better. And now, hopefully, things are normal again. So yeah, that's a big problem in Russia. I mean, they're doing everything to control the access of, to information that you can get, right? And yeah, to the point where like I said, there's areas where just the internet will not work whatsoever. Um, like I used to be able to walk through the park and with my earphones and listening to my favorite music. But then, like, I think it was already 2 years ago. They just like blocked. Oh, I understand why now. They blocked the internet to my neighborhood park. So I couldn't be on the internet listening to music while I'm walking in the park. Now I understand why. Right next to the park, there is a military training center. So they block the internet because they're afraid like someone's going to try to, you know, send a drone against the military training center. Ah, okay. Well, that makes sense. In some cases, okay, it makes sense. Like next to military factories. In general, they're blocking internet access all around any factory. My student who lives near some factories told me. Um, with Wi Fi, you still can get internet. Um, so far, I really haven't had a problem of not having internet, but like I said, uh, not being able to access the sites I wanted to, yeah, that's a big problem without VPN. And definitely, they were able to block my VPN. So they knew I wasn't on Max. I wasn't talking to someone on Max. I just had it installed on my phone. And they already knew that I was using VPN. And they blocked it. They blocked my internet. I guess they didn't block VPN, but they blocked my internet because they knew that I was using VPN. I wasn't even using their app. It just existed on my phone. I had never actually used it, but just the fact that I installed it, they pinpointed, ooh, that guy is using VPN. Shut off his internet. So they can shut off Wi-Fi too, of course. So yeah, it's a crazy situation, extremely frustrating. The thing I'm worried about most is not being able to contact my students and not being able to have lessons with my students because we like depend on like messenger services, preferably they're not being spied on by the government. And so, otherwise, what was life like for 3 days without YouTube? Actually, surprisingly, it wasn't that bad. Like I said, I'm addicted to YouTube. I have it on all the time, watching news programs, listen to music, or just watching silly things, or like, yeah. When I'm not outside, basically. Yeah, I'm doing other things also, of course, but it's just always in the background. Um, it wasn't so bad, life without YouTube. Obviously, I like YouTube, but it gave me a lot more time to read and write and go for a walk. Like sometimes I'll be lazy, I'll wake up, I'm like, okay, I'll watch Fox News, then I'm gonna go for a walk, have breakfast, and go for a walk. I'm like, let me watch one more video. Let me watch another video. Okay, just one more video. And I wound up getting out really late and not being able to achieve my walking challenge for the day, right? Because I'm distracted by YouTube. Okay. Like if we had internet in the parks where I walk, then like it used to be, because I have internet on my phone, it wouldn't be a problem. Then I could just walk. But since there's only internet in my house, So yeah, actually, I spent more time outside. Well, because it's spring, of course. But also, I wasn't distracted by, oh, okay, I'm gonna watch this silly video. Okay, I'm gonna watch this one. Okay, it'll make me laugh or something. Right? Yeah, I wasn't distracted. So I'm gonna probably try to. Maybe this is kind of a good experience because I'm gonna try to limit my addiction to like the only thing I really like to YouTube, I guess, because other like social media I don't use really except Facebook. But yeah, and spend more time outside and reading actual books with papers and writing, which like most of my life I grew up without the internet and without YouTube, of course. And I had a perfectly good life and a happy life. I didn't need like all these computers and everything and and internet. So yeah, I can live perfectly happily without it. As long as I have music and I can contact my students and have lessons with my students. And yeah, but I really like YouTube, obviously. But and yeah, I'm gonna start limiting actually. Spend more time doing other things, more creative things, more things that will improve my life more. So, but yeah, so I don't know if this will go through. Uh, if it does, that's great. I'm gonna try to send it. What else about government blocking? Yeah, they're just afraid of people hearing other sides of the story. It's just like pure propaganda. They just give you pure propaganda, and that's what they want you to believe. And they don't want you to hear other sides of the stories um, about what's really going on. Um, so yeah, that's their whole goal. And it's just I go back. I remember like um, before the war, it was perfectly easy in Russia to access YouTube. You have internet, you press YouTube app or you voice search or whatever you want to see on YouTube, and it came up immediately. There was no problem. You didn't have to first press the VPN, turn on VPN, and do this and this. There was no problem with anything, with WhatsApp, with Telegram, with I mean, it was perfectly easy. I used to call my students on WhatsApp. Now I have to send them a link to WhatsApp. Yeah, those are the good old days when Russia wasn't a tyranny, information tyranny. or, yeah. Yeah, those were good days. That was 4 years ago. By the way, do you know that Russia has now spent more time fighting Ukraine than they did in Nazi Germany? I have the statistics down exactly, but um, like they defeated Nazi Germany and well, they with the Allies and all in 3 years and 9 months since they invaded Soviet Union. The whole war took like 6 years, but okay, that's for another video. Anyway, yeah, they've been fighting Ukrainians longer than they have been fighting Nazis. Yeah, that's definitely for another video, but I don't know, I might wind up in jail for 15 years for saying the truth. But yeah, it's so frustrating not to. Yeah, I even like wrote my friend, like, this is probably like, I probably won't be able to make videos anymore or go on Facebook because I didn't know what was going on. And I tried to download other VPNs. But they're like, this is not allowed in your country, right? Yeah, my students sent me like VPNs that they use. I tried to download it that are still working, and I tried to download. No, this is not accessible in your country. Right? So I thought that was it. Okay. Um, but it was all because of Max. Actually, one of my favorite students, his name is Max. So when I say fuck Max, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the government spy messenger service. Okay, so yeah, man. I'm still not sure. I'm 65% sure this is not going to go through. If it does, I'll be really surprised. But yeah, that's what life like is in Russia since the war. Okay, so hope we can keep in contact. And have a happy Easter, by the way. This Sunday is Easter. For Russians, Russian Orthodox, and like Orthodox Christians, Easter is next Sunday. But this Sunday, for the rest of the world, is Easter. So happy Easter if you celebrate on April 5th. Happy spring. It's wonderful. I made a video about spring here. Okay, I'll try to post that too. So, goodbye, everyone. До свидания. Sayonara. What other languages do I know goodbye in? До свидания. Sayonara. Goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen, of course. I know in French, bon suis, but not goodbye. What's goodbye in French? I think I know in Spanish. How do you say goodbye in Spanish? I know buenas noches, but that's good night. Anyway, goodbye, everyone. Auf Wiedersehen.